most haunted city, I would love to introduce to you the most notorious serial killer in all of Savannah. Are you ready? Miss Brittany! Oh, y'all don't seem to like that.
Brittany!
That make you uncomfortable? Don't worry, she was acquitted, hopefully. I'm already dead, so good luck to you guys. No, I am actually talking about the Savannah River to our left. This deceptively calm-looking beast has been dredged over and over again throughout the years to accommodate the large cargo ships that come in and out of her port. With a current total depth of 47 feet deep, it's no wonder that at least 2 lives every single year are lost by either falling or jumping into this magnificent monster being swept away by its deadly undercurrent. Now, if you take 1 second to look around Savannah, specifically here on River Street, you can see a lot of shops, restaurants, maybe a hotel or two. But back in the 18th and 19th century, these all used to be cotton warehouses, pubs, and chandleries, which made River Street quite a deadly place to be after dark. We're still good though. It's light outside. You have been saved for now. Now, one of those warehouses I was talking about is actually coming up on the right side of the trolley. It has burgundy shutters and even has a cute little sign that hangs out front. It is the Old Harbor Inn. I'll point it out to you guys when we get a little bit closer. But I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of history just so you know what we're coming into. The Old Harbor Inn actually used to be called the Tidewater Oil Company in 1890. It was filled to the brim with barrels upon barrels of very precious oil, and business was booming. But there's always a few troublemakers thrown into the mix, and that happens to be the case for the spirit who still lives in the Old Harbor Inn today, a man we lovingly refer to as Hank. I'm asking you guys to please keep your voices down because the acoustics in here with the windows down bounce very loudly. Now, as I was saying, Hank is the spirit who still resides in the Old Harbor Inn, which is coming up on the right side, burgundy shutters, a little sign that hangs out front. Now, Hank was said to be possessed with a bit of a fiery temper here in the Old Harbor Inn. He would often get into loud, heated arguments with anybody he could find, including his bosses. I'd never do that. I like my boss. I call him the ghost doctor. But no one really paid him any mind, believing he was all bark and no bite, until a very heated discussion he got into with a fellow worker of the warehouse sent him over the edge. That night, he stormed into one of the many storage rooms of the warehouse with an oil lamp in hand. Grinning from ear to ear, he threw that oil lamp right at a big pile of barrels. The glass shattered, the oil ignited, and soon not only the warehouse but the entire east end of River Street was up in flames. Where we were sitting, gone. Poof! While it was a total loss, thankfully there was no injuries to be reported and no deaths to be documented. Except for one, I wouldn't be telling you the story otherwise. Hank is said to be the only casualty of his fire and why the Old Harbor Inn is so haunted today. Opening in 1987, guests who stay in room 406 say that Hank is not going to his afterlife very quietly. And if you happen to ever find yourself being a guest of the Old Harbor Inn, specifically in room 406, you're laying in your bed, you're trying so hard to fall asleep, but you feel something brush against your side, maybe wrap an arm around your chest or your stomach, don't worry. While it may not be your partner or your child, it could possibly be Hank. He's a snuggler. He'll keep you warm all night long. Now, as we head up this ramp, I want you to turn your attention elsewhere. Not on me, but thank you so much. I crave the attention. I'm actually referring to underneath all of us. Honeycombed throughout our city streets are subterranean tunnels, and one of the most famous is coming up underneath the Pirate's House, which will be on the left side of the trolley as soon as we come up Broad Street, Bay Street, and turn left onto East Broad Street. I'll go ahead and give you a little history before we actually see it. The Pirate's House opened in 1754 and was a hit spot for sailors to come, belly up to the bar, tell their tall tale of glory on the high seas, and even replenish their ranks. It is said that English and French privateers who were in need of a few new deckhands would often slip a little something extra to the bartender, who would then slip a little something even more extra special into an unsuspecting patron's drink. The next morning, That poor soul would wake up on a ship bound for China and in a brand new career. I wish it was still that easy. I always get stuck in the interview process. Apparently not a lot of people like to hire the dead. Wonder why. Now, like I said, the Pirate's House will be coming up on the left side of the trolley, the gray building with the hate blue shutters. Now, as I had mentioned before, those tunnels that honeycomb throughout our entire city, the most famous is directly underneath that building. It also accounts for a lot of the paranormal activity in the building. Many former employees report hearing loud voices and laughter coming from the cellar. One former employee found himself fascinated with the stories of Shanghai sailors and piracy, and he decided one night after his shift was done to head down into the cellar and investigate for himself. As he was navigating the dark corridor, he found his path blocked by a wall of rubble. Shrugging his shoulders, he was just about to head back upstairs anyway when he heard voices coming from the tunnel's entrance. Assuming it was his bosses coming to find and scold him, he did what every hero in the horror movie does to avoid the villain: press himself very firmly against a stone wall, hoping that the shadows would hide him. Unfortunately, I'm betting he still wished it was his bosses, because instead of his management, 5 large men in 19th century clothing came trotting on behind him, laughing maniacally as they carried an unconscious body on their shoulder and disappeared right into that rubble wall. Now, that former employee thought back on every decision he'd ever made in his entire life that brought him to be down in that cellar, and decided to head back upstairs and also into a brand new career. Now, in a city so prevalent with the dead as ours is, you would think it'd be hard for an ambitious spirit to stand out from the crowd, right? Well, some here do choose violence, but I know of at least one who makes her bones in a more playful way. At the 1790 Inn restaurant, Miss Anna is a true celebrity. Now, Anna's story is one that has sadly been lost to legend throughout the years, with one version saying she was brought here for an arranged marriage, while another will say that she was a barmaid who'd fallen in love with a sailor who was only out for a good time. Men, am I right? Ugh, can't trust them. But no matter the beginning of her story, the ending will always be the same, with poor Miss Anna throwing herself out of the window of room 204. Are we going to be able to see it? I'm so sorry to tell you guys, since they are doing filming and something else, I actually lied to you. We're not going to be able to see the 1790, but trust me when I say it is a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel. And if you have time during your trip, I highly suggest you drive on by or take a walk over to see it, because it truly is gorgeous. But the next thing that we will be seeing, and I promise we will be seeing it, is a building called 210 East State Street. It'll be coming up on the left side of my right, your left. No, you're right, my left. I know how to do my job. I know how to do my job. Right side of the trolley, it is a yellow brick building with a green awning that says 210 East State Street. Now, this building was built in 1924, and a couple that moved in shortly thereafter said that they loved everything about their home except for one thing. A used teacup would appear on their kitchen table here at 210 East State Street every few days. Now, I have a secret to tell you. I want you to lean in close. Closer. Closer. They didn't drink tea. What a tea travesty that was! I mean, especially back in those times. Well, since they weren't big fans of tea, they thought someone was playing a prank on them, but no matter what they did, that cup always appeared. Fed up with this mystery, they decided to contact the former tenant, Rodney. Rodney told the couple, "I too loved everything about my former home, except the fact that I was forced to move out because my girlfriend refused to be anywhere near the building itself." Apparently, one morning, a young woman had come down to the kitchen for breakfast, and instead of being treated with coffee or maybe some French toast, she was greeted by Rodney's mother, sitting and sipping her tea. Now, this was only awkward because the two had never met before. So she decided to just put that past her, exchange some pleasantries, ask her how she was doing, how was life, and they, of course, had a fabulously nice conversation. Afterwards, she went to find Rodney and scold him for not telling her that his mother had come to town, because how rude is that? She could have been in a bathrobe, no makeup, hair all a mess. Ugh. Well, Rodney very calmly explained, even in his early morning grogginess, that his mother had died 2 years prior at that kitchen table. Apparently, she had come here for a visit shortly after Rodney had moved in, and while she was sitting and sipping her tea at the kitchen table, died of a stroke, falling face first into her teacup. Now, the couple, hearing this news, was obviously very disturbed, but they still believed in the spirit of compromise, so they decided to write her a letter. It went something like this. Dear Madam, Rodney does not live here anymore, but if you really want to pay him a visit, here is his new address. Well, believe it or not, it actually worked. Believe it or not, it actually worked. They never heard from Rodney's mother again, but if we can please take a moment to think of the true victim of our tale, Rodney, who is never going to escape his mother's love, or that poor girlfriend, who is never going to escape that kind of mother-in-law. Now, very shortly here soon, we will be coming into Colonial Park Cemetery. It'll be on the left side of the trolley. It'll be on left side of the trolley, sorry. My mind is very frazzled today. It's a little bit busy, even for the dead. Now, Colonial Park Cemetery was built in 1750, burials beginning shortly thereafter. But it had to be closed in 1853 when they made the decision to open Laurel Grove Cemetery just across town. Now, I say needed because the plot of land that Colonial Park Cemetery rests on is only 6 acres big, but holds over 12,000 bodies within. Yeah, you'll see it in just a moment. It's only 6 acres, so you may be wondering, how did they fit 12,000 bodies within? Well, in the Catholic section, it's not very big. So think like a domino box in a tin box. One on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. This did later create some problems when the bodies began to rise up. It was not very uncommon to see a dog, a coyote, even a wolf walk away with a femur bone, maybe a jaw, totally not uncommon. Now but in 1853 they decided to open Laurel Grove Cemetery just across town. But Colonial Park Cemetery has many beautiful headstones and tombstones. They specifically have these big brick structures that you may see and may wonder what they are, but I'll go ahead and let you know what they are. Those big brick structures are family crypts or vaults. You see, back in the day, if you were wealthy enough, you and everybody in your household, including your extended family, would be going in the exact same plot of ground. You see, those crypts are actually underground rooms with stairs that lead into the earth. There are shelves lining the 4 walls of the crypt, a big old slab directly in the center, and a family urn just off to the side. Now, let's say you were the most recently deceased. You would be put on that slab, dressed in your best dress clothes right here at Colonial Park Cemetery. And your family and friends could come visit you, give you kind words of passing, tell you that they loved you, they missed you. But if somebody came after you did, well, you must hope that you were completely decomposed, because they would scrape your body off, crush it up, burn it, and throw it right into that family urn with everybody else who had died, including your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, maybe your children, aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever died in your home also went into that urn. I really, really hope you're not claustrophobic. because that recently deceased would take your place on the slab. The cycle would start all over again because, as we say in Ghosts and Gravestones, the family that decays together stays together. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up on the very first stop of the evening, Colonial Park Cemetery. I know how to do my job. I'm having so many different moments. No, the first stop of the evening is actually the Andrew Lowe house, like I said in the beginning. Andrew Lowe's home was completed in 1849 by New York architect John Norris for Andrew Lowe and his family. Now, I know I mentioned his daughter-in-law to some of you who are already on board, but I'll go ahead and tell you who she is. She was married to his son, William, and she was the founder of the Girl Scouts, Juliet Gordon Lowe. She lived in this home her entire adult life, but passed in it in 1927, after which it was sold to the National Society of Colonial Dames of America in the state of Georgia by the trustees of her estate, and in 1950 it was sold as a museum that we in Ghosts and Gravestones have the exclusive opportunity to venture into after dark. Now, before we can actually step off and head inside, there are some rules I need to go over with you. The first rule is there's to be no touching, leaning, licking, holding, grabbing, or any bodily functions allowed to be done to or inside of the home to any of the collections, including the home itself, like the doors, doorways, walls, stanchions, furniture, the like. The only thing you're allowed to touch is the handrails going up and down the stairs and the handrails that bring you in and out of the home. My next rule is there's to be no food, drink, water bottle, candy, gum, or anything like that allowed inside. Please feel free to leave your belongings stowed underneath your seat because Miss Brittany will not be leaving the trolley anytime soon. My next rule is there's to be no flash photography allowed as well. Please turn it off before you take any pictures or videos because it can damage the artifacts and scare off the spirits inside. My last rule is that the home is watching. Not only the spirits inside, but also the surveillance cameras, so please be mindful and respectful as we make our way throughout. Now, are you guys ready?
Yes.